Hello, and welcome to FAHCADEMICS Podcast. My name is Ritz Tolentino, a student at UC Davis. In this podcast, we aim to provide you with accessible peer mentorship and advice to help you navigate through your college journey. Today, I am joined with Cedric Josh Sanchez, also a student at UC Davis. And he will be sharing his experiences and talking to us about how to deal with a bad quarter in college or as students at UC Davis. Hi, CJ. Thank you so much for joining me today.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
As to reiterate, Cedric Sanchez. You can call me CJ, but I'm a second year here, biology sciences. I'm currently the athletics coach for FAC, and I would say for my career goals, definitely on pre-med track for now. Just trying to see which ones specifically I'm trying to aim for and strive, trying to like different types of experiences that can help me identify what I want to do. So if you need
Awesome.
anything, I'm here.
Of course. Now, to start things off, do you mind sharing with us your experience in a quarter that you knew was just not going well for you?
Yeah, definitely. I would say it was freshman year, first year. It was after fall quarter. I felt like I really had a stride of what I was trying to do for the next quarter. Everything was going pretty well in terms of the beginning of the weeks. It was went by fast. It was going okay. Then I realized over time that when one of my classes, my focus or like my drive for like the actual class wasn't in it. It wasn't really like there for me. The teacher and me didn't really click. I wasn't really getting material, and for me personally, I felt like I didn't learn anything in the class. It
Mhm.
was just every single class I felt like everybody else knew what they were doing, and I was just
Mhm.
there isolated. Like every discussion I would go to, almost all of my group would figure out all the questions first, and I'll be like, "Hey guys, I don't know how to start this question."
Yeah.
So it would become times like that, and over time, I was just trying different ways to do it. Like I tried to go to tutoring, I
Mhm.
tried to do other things, but I soon realized that my teacher and me, like his teaching style, didn't really fit my way of learning, and because of that, I took it upon myself to not really go to lecture, which I know is a really bad idea because you shouldn't miss on lecture. But
Yeah.
I felt as though for the past couple of weeks when I was trying my best to do good on the exams, and I was doing okay on the exams. I was doing okay. I was like scraping it. I was like doing like just enough to be above, but it wasn't what I wanted, and just not
Mhm.
something for me mentally. I was like, this ain't it. But at the very end, I would say I studied very hard for the final. I studied very hard for like different things, but at the very end of the day, the option was to either give a final or not give a final. And I'm not going to say which class it was or what time it was because it was COVID, like pre-COVID. It was just
Yeah.
before that whole shift and
Yeah.
everything. And I felt also because of that, they felt more inclined to like take out the final instead, which for
Mhm.
me, I felt heartbroken. Like I felt really bad, like sad about it.
Yeah.
Like very like, yeah, I really felt just like I don't know. I don't know how to explain. It's like that feeling where like you've been given a chance to prove yourself and like be able to get a better grade, but because of that decision that everybody else made affected you, you didn't have that own choice yourself.
Yeah.
Because in all seriousness, if I was given the ability to, I would have done everything I can to get like a better
Mhm.
grade, but that didn't happen. But I guess that would be the start of it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about any specifics that I want to like about that time or like
Yeah.
what do you think?
So yeah, I'm very sorry that you had to go through that unfortunate experience. And
It's okay.
kind of like what you were saying, it was kind of like a mix of different factors. You know, you not really like vibing with your professor and losing that motivation. Can you talk more about, those factors and especially about your internal like drive to continue and why that was lost during the class, during the quarter?
I think that loss of motivation at that time was probably due to the feeling of everybody else understanding it, but not you. It's like being that one person in the room where like everybody else understands what's happening, just not you. Like it's it's when you fall into this pit where you feel like any question you say is just dumb and you shouldn't
Yeah.
ask it. Like even though if you're so confused to the point where like you have no idea what's
Mm.
happening in the class.
Yeah.
It's it hasn't happened to me as much, but like when it does, it really sucks because like
Yeah.
for me personally, I want to be able to take charge. I want to be able to like
Mm.
know everything that I'm about to do and like just
Mm.
have that ability to do it. When I don't have that, I feel like I'm out of control. I'm not like having the best times of, like at that class, and just that moment, I felt like all the effort that I did was like for nothing.
Mm.
And I think that really demotivated me and really pushed me downwards into like a little spiral of like trying to work my way up, but always bring myself down as I'm doing.
Mm.
And so I think
Yeah,
that little thing caused that. Yeah.
yeah. And you kind of mentioned in the beginning that you tried reaching out for help and that you went to tutoring, but it kind of didn't work out. Can you talk more specifically about, what other steps did you take to try to um, remedy the situation?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I made sure to put extra time. I used to every single Saturday I would go to the library, spend about 3 or 4 hours there, just trying to practice some problems, trying to get better at the math. But as I kept doing it, I was like, okay, I sort of understand this. I sort of understand this, and I asked people about it, and then I actually get it. But it's a different thing being able to do a question with people's help. But when I'm by myself, sometimes I can forget a single step. It can mess up everything. And then all my progress I thought I had was actually just gone. It was just because I had this connection with someone and they made me better. But when they're gone, I have nothing. It's
That's
like that
true.
small thing where like I would go to tutoring and
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would go to tutoring and just ask my tutor, like, hey, how do you do this? I'd be like, oh, I understand it now. After I do it, later it just gets out of my head. I think it was that mindset where like I'm just gonna do it now and it goes away. That really brought me down for that class. Cause I just thought, oh, I'll learn this now and later I won't need it. But in all seriousness, you need everything for like the whole entire class. So I think as a realm of that, that thinking of like just thinking like, oh, I should do this now and I'll worry about it later is what really brought me down. And
Oh
instead of
yeah.
like kept motivating me up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I always tell others that, like the first weeks of class are actually the most important because that's where you learn about the foundation of how you're going to succeed in the rest of the quarter. And if you stumble in the beginning, it can be really hard to pick that up, to pick that pace up again, and understand more difficult concepts later on. And yeah, like as you said, it can be really frustrating, and it's really unfortunate that you had to go through that. um, but yeah, during that quarter, obviously you're not only taking that class that you did bad on. So how did failing or realizing that you were going to fail a class influence you in your other classes that quarter? And kind of how did you keep motivating yourself to keep striving?
I think for me at that time, because I was doing that bad in that class, I realized in myself that if I don't focus on these other things, then how am I going to be able to do everything? Like all these little things that you do throughout the day, like how are you going to be able to do that if you have one thing bad? So at that time, I took an option, but like either I fail this class and make it affect everything,
Mhm.
or do my best in this class and see what happens, but make sure that everything else is on point. Because if I don't do that and put everything in my basket for like this one class, then I'm gonna lose everything else. So either I do this or I get that. Because at that time I didn't really have that choice to be like, okay, I can catch up. I couldn't catch up at that time because I didn't do enough study. I didn't like all the little things, or like the class, just lecturing and just being able to study wasn't there for me. And because of that, I had to make a choice.
Yeah.
And what really solidified that, I would say, was taking time to like take care of myself, because I always went to the gym, especially like every single like I try to go like every day, like at least a little bit, just a little bit of exercise, because that's time for me to think of just myself. Like just this is what I'm trying to do. This is for me, and it shouldn't be something that other people should be worried about. This is for me. That's why for like other classes, I always take the time to be like, hey, this is time for me to like just relax or just focus on like one thing. Because there's so many different times where you think about so many different things and it doesn't like you don't center on something. That's why you have to like I would say just pick something, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as like that one thing you're only focused on one thing and nothing else. You don't have to worry about anything. And then like rest of the day you can worry about everything else, but
Yeah.
just 1 hour of the day. But yeah,
Yeah, I really commend you for that mindset
yeah,
because that can be really hard, like failing a class can be really demotivating, but you kind of have to realize that there are other things, going around you, and you have other goals other than that, you have to keep striving for. And I really commend you for being able to have that mindset throughout. I remember one of
thank
one of
you.
the one of my peers told me about this concept of scheduled worry time. So what that is basically, if you are worried about something, you have to make time to just worry about it in specific part of your day or part of your week. Because if you let that influence you throughout your quarter or throughout your day or throughout your week, you won't be able to be productive in doing other things that you should be doing well as well, which is kind of like a really
Yeah,
good concept.
yeah, that's actually pretty dope actually, like in terms of like what you're trying to strive for. Because
Yeah.
I always try to think of this, because I always make a to-do list most every single day. I
Mhm.
try to make a to-do list of like stuff I'm going to do. But then I always have, if it's like a big decision or like a
Yeah.
big thing I'm trying to think about, I leave myself about 1 to 3 hours where I'm just
Yeah.
sitting and just thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of. Because like, if like I think a lot of people think about this. Like, if you don't really take the time to think about a decision, probably not gonna make the best decision.
Hmm.
And in terms of everything else, like as long as you put a little bit of thought behind it, then it might not be your best work, but at least you thought about it, you know? So you don't have to feel like, oh, maybe I had a regret, or maybe I didn't think it through. With time, you can think it through, you know? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, having those scheduled worry times where you just think um, can actually be really effective. Like you said, like just having to think it through and not, you don't have to worry about solving any problem. But over time, if you think it through enough, you can come up with a solution. And I think that's a really good way to deal with failure and, having to deal with your worries. Yeah. So, if you kind of had like a chance to go back in time and repeat that quarter, what would you have done differently?
ooh. Well, if I had the chance to go
Yeah.
back, there'd be a couple things I would do at the beginning, especially. I think first week, I feel like for me personally, this quarter now, I've done a lot better in terms of time management for the first week, because I don't think a lot of like freshmen especially don't realize this, but like the first week is this is your ticket to either get ahead or stay behind, or like stay on track. Just try your best to strive for better. If you do that, then you can set yourself up for better in the future. So like you can have extra time to do something else because you're ahead for this. You'd be like, okay, I made sure that I'm ahead for this class, which means I can study a little bit more for this class where I'm a little bit straight back. So it's like a push and pull type thing. So like if you give more, you get more. So I would say, especially for math class, I would have like made study groups. I would have made like different types of things with connections in my class, made sure there's people I can talk to about different subjects and lectures, or just like practice problems like study groups. I think that's a big thing. Just finding the time where you're setting specific time points where you're studying, because a lot of people can say, oh, I'll study a little bit for today, but you don't know how much you're really studying, how much you're really on your phone, you're just watching TV.
Mhm.
So I would say if you hold yourself accountable and setting those goals for yourself, like you'll be able to like create this path where you're probably going to succeed. And either or, as long as you put yourself in that position, you're giving yourself that best chance to like
Mhm.
do good in that class.
Mhm.
And I took that for granted. I really took that for granted back in the day. I just thought like, oh, this is like another school week. It's fine. I'll be able to relax over the weekend because I don't have that much work. But there is a lot of work. You just have to think ahead. You have to think of like, how can this affect me in the future? How will I be able to do better? And how will like this little change that I do right now will affect me? A lot of people I know don't really want to have help. They don't try to
Mhm.
get help, and I feel so that's like bad. That shouldn't be looked down upon for asking for help.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that like, oh, people might think I'm stupid. People might think I don't
Yeah.
understand this, but like that. But that's how it is. That's
Mhm.
truthful. That's how you get information. If you don't
Exactly.
ask for something, yeah, exactly. If you don't ask for something, people are not going to understand you. They're not going to be able to say like, oh wait, am I explaining this wrong? Do you want me to explain
Mhm.
it better? Then be like, okay, I'll explain it better for you so you understand. Because
Mhm.
you have to take initiative on your own learning.
Mhm.
You shouldn't expect other people to do that for you. If
Mhm.
you don't do it yourself, you're not going to be able to understand and be ahead like you want to. You're just going to stay back and not be able to learn anything. That's why I feel as though people need to ask for help more and just find that ability to like suck up. A lot of people are either scared or they're too prideful. I feel as though
Yeah.
if you suck with your pride, you take it up a notch, you try to do your best, because there's people out there that will help you and will be able to make you better. So
Yeah, definitely. I think the key takeaways here are that, you have to be very accountable. You have to take initiative and, you know, don't be scared to be vulnerable in front of others. because ultimately, you're just working for yourself, and you're responsible for whatever outcome comes out of a quarter and comes out of the class. So just being very proactive, as you said, is really definitely helpful when you want to succeed in class. You kind of touched upon this a little bit, but how did you ensure that, coming out of a bad quarter, that your experience did not deter you from succeeding in your future quarters in Davis?
Ooh, I think a big thing would have to be self-care. Self-care is like a big thing in terms of trying to keep your mental state good, trying to make sure that, because a lot of people don't understand that when you take care of yourself, you're not just taking yourself like physically, you're taking care of yourself mentally. So like in the future, you'll be able to accept like what's happened before and move on. Because if you don't take that time to really reflect on yourself and what you've done, you don't you don't really take initiative and like take, I would say, responsibility for yourself. Because taking that responsibility, you see that, oh, I'm lacking here. I should be studying more, or I should be like making my time more towards things that will help me out in the future. I think taking self-care, such as reading a book. Reading a book really helped me out sometimes, like just be able to read, just relax. And it's something that helps you out mentally because you're reading like different types of words on literature. But it also puts you at a state of peace where you're not thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna fail this class, I'm gonna fail this next quarter because like I'm not gonna take initiative or I'm not doing this. You're like just simply relaxing and like
Mm.
taking the time to debrief from probably one hard quarter that really like took a toll on you to be able to do better in the next quarter. Because I think a big thing I always think about when I'm like going through life, especially like even now, is that time waits for nobody.
Oh yeah.
Either you do what you can, or you sit back and watch it go past you.
Mhm.
Either that's why I want to take initiative and be like, hey, I want to do this for me. I am not trying to do this for anyone else because
Yeah.
this is my life. This is what I'm trying to do, and it's just something I'm trying to do. Yeah, 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 go ahead. No, it's fine.
Yeah. You said, I really like when you said, you have to always self-reflect, because sometimes we tend not to do that, or we forget to do that. Reflecting on one's experiences can really help you move forward. Especially like in college, you experience a lot of different things, and you have successes, you have ups and downs in college. But if you take the time to self-reflect, as you said, you can take those experiences and the lessons that you've learned from them to help you in the future. And you also touched upon self-care. I think a lot of us have this mentality that we just need to keep working and working and working without taking the time to care
Yeah.
for ourselves. And I what I think about this is that if we are only as productive as how we want to be and how we take care of ourselves. So if you're tired and stressed all the time, I don't think you can succeed very well in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's like to piggyback on that. Like, I think people don't realize that we're not machines. We're
Yeah.
human beings. We have, yeah, we have our ups and downs. That's why we go to sleep. That's why we nap. I mean, that's our power charger and everything.
Mhm.
But a power charger such as sleeping is very important. But there's also times where you should, take a break and just be like, hey, I've done the best that I can for this day. I'll do better more, or I'll do more tomorrow, like something like that.
Yeah.
Um, like I would say especially because for me personally, I try to reflect on lots of things, not even simply just math stuff, probably based on relationships too. Like I
Mhm.
try to find like, oh, did I say the right words to these people? Did I make sure that come off as like friendly, aggressive? Like I try to reflect on those instances too, because if you're able to see what type of person you are to other people and like how you're treating them, it really puts back on your like humanity and see like how I'm trying my best to make other people feel comfortable around me because you're trying to make everyone feel comfortable. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. It's like trying to make that positivity. But yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. Like serving others is also a form of self-care, because you become more proud of yourself, and you see yourself more of as someone who some people may look up to. And I think self-reflecting is really important. Recently, recently I've gotten a journal where I write a lot of things that, I
Oh,
experience.
that's really
And
cool.
yeah, and kind of like what you said, like self-reflecting and really thinking about my interactions with others. And it's all about improvement, you know, just like this whole podcast is about, coming out of the bad quarter. We shouldn't take that as a defining experience that tells everything about our character. We can always improve as humans, and reflecting is a really integral part of doing that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Like especially journaling. That's like I've tried to do it most days, but like I'm not able to. But when I do, I find the time when I'm like, oh wait, I should have done this better, or I'll be like, oh, I
Yeah.
could have been a little bit more productive here. It's really cool. I mean, I would say a big thing. Self-reflection isn't just for like to writing stuff down. It's
Mm.
seeing what you did that day and taking pride in it because you did it and you did whatever you can that day as much as your ability can. There's only a certain amount of things you can do in a day, but as long as you tried your best during that day, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And as long as you feel in yourself that you did good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely be grateful as well of like whatever happened to us in a day. It could be like very small or, big things, but you know, having yourself, being proud of yourself, as you said, is really important for you to like move forward. Now, as sort of like a last question to end things off, if you could
Of
make a
course.
list of tips and strategies to improve on oneself after experiencing a stumble in college, what would be in that list?
Ooh, okay. Okay. I took some time to think about this for a little bit, but okay. Number one thing. Scheduling. Scheduling is a big thing. Either find some type of way for you to schedule events or different types of things you want to do. Like get a calendar,
Yes.
something you can write on, even online. Just finding different ways to know what you're gonna do during the week. Cause it's hard for a person to like know exactly what they're doing every single day because you have so many different things you have to think about.
Yeah.
So might as well put that responsibility on like something else where you can just look, take a glance, and be like, oh, that's what I'm doing today. That's why I love lists so much. Like to-do lists are just great because I can check in, be like, oh, I finished this today. That
Yeah.
feels great. That's amazing. And okay, step two. I would say you should set up a time where you do homework. Like set a specific time where you like feel like, yeah, I do homework here, or maybe set up what you're gonna achieve that day. Because even if something small, even if you don't do the whole to-do list, as long as you do something of that list where you can check it off, you'll be like, okay, I did something today.
Yeah.
So you don't really feel like you wasted it. Have like taking take day by day, take it day by day. Another thing I would say is spend some time. A little bit of exercise goes a long way, I would
Yeah.
say, especially as an athletics sport. I would say a little bit goes a long way because people don't realize that this is like a car. Your body is like a car. What you put in is what you get out.
Mhm.
If you exercise and be able to take care of your body, you're gonna enjoy it a lot more than what you think
Mhm.
you're gonna do because there's tons of different ways for like the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you do things affects how you feel and how you mood. Like if you're very moody, you feel like you feel like dehydrated or you get like tons of headaches, be like, oh, drink more water, like small stuff like that. It's like really important.
Yeah.
And I think people need to like take more initiative or like be more thoughtful of like what's happening on your body, like
Yeah.
because this is your temple, this is like what comes in and out is you, and whatever you put in is what you put out. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing, I would say take the time to be able to build on your relationships around you.
Mhm.
It could be something small, it could be something big, but just take the time to be like, hey, how are you? Are you okay? Like, are you doing good? Because small things like that, especially to other people, you don't realize that, but like
Yeah.
small things can like go long, can be like so eventful because they can
Mhm.
look back and think like, oh, this person actually thought about me and actually cared about what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think the biggest thing people should say instead of asking like, what are you doing or like something like that, be like, how are you? I feel as though now today people would just be like, oh, I'm good. But what does
Yeah.
good really mean? Yeah, like finding that thing where like, oh, actually what happened to your day? Do you feel good? You were able to do things you're gonna do? Because I feel as though people take more negatively in terms of like how you're trying to express yourself, which I feel as though you should be able to say whatever you're trying to say. Like you're an individual and you're talking to other people that are individuals as well. They have their own experiences and you have your own as well. When you talk about how you're going through life and how you're trying to like get past it, you can build on each other's like different steps and ways of improving. So
Mhm.
it's a way for you to improve yourself and other people because you're making connections with them deeper than just a simple good, just like something simple than that. Fifth one would be, enjoy the moments in college.
Yeah.
There's gonna be tons of times where you feel like you're stressed and you're trying to get an exam done, but like those little moments of just like pure, like just enjoy the moment. There's gonna be tons of people that you meet that you're gonna enjoy and just like be able to say hi, hello, and you feel great about like just hanging out with them. Those small things, like just take the time to appreciate it and what you are with them in that moment. Be in there. Don't think about your next exam. Don't think about the other stuff. Just be in the moment and just be like,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself. This is great. The people around me is who I care about, and I'm having a good time. I would say those are a good amount of tips I would say for now, and something you should strive for in college. Just,
Wow.
just enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
And there you go, folks. CJ and his take on dealing with a bad quarter. Thank you so much, CJ, for joining me today and sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you for
I
having me.
know, yeah, I found it, and I'm sure like a lot of audiences and listeners have found it very insightful. And thank you for doing that. And
Of course.
thank you
Time.
for those of you watching or listening. I hope that this has been very insightful for you. With that, I'll see you in our next episode of FAHCADEMICS Podcast. Till then.
Bye.